Mia, my parents' biological daughter, who was kidnapped 17 years ago, finally returned home. Mom hugged her tightly, repeatedly calling her sweetheart. But Mia looked at me with fake innocence. Now that I'm back, shouldn't my sister return to her real family? She thought I was some sort of thief living the high life, but didn't realize how quiet the house became after she said that. Mia is my parents' biological daughter. She was abducted and sold to a remote mountain area when she was young and was just recently found. I had just come back from soccer practice and heard muffled cries from inside as I approached the door. Inside, I saw Mom holding a girl who was crying uncontrollably. Dad stood beside them, a 57-year-old man with red eyes. Mom's voice was hoarse. I finally waited for you. You have no idea how much I've regretted leaving you with that nanny. I immediately recognized who the girl was. Years ago, my parents were busy launching their business and hired a nanny to look after their daughter. They left early and returned late, spending little time with her, unaware that the nanny was trafficking children. When Mia was 4, the nanny sold her, and my parents spent years searching for her. "Who's this?" A soft voice snapped me back, and I looked up to see her staring at me. I frowned without realizing it. Her gaze made me uneasy. She winced dramatically and leaned closer to Mom. Mom gently patted her back, smiling and saying, "Don't be scared. This is your sister." Mom introduced me too. "Emma, meet your sister Mia." But I didn't remember having a sister. Mia hesitated, glancing at me timidly. Mom said, "Emma is—" I laughed and added, "I'm adopted." Mia's voice dropped to a whisper. "Oh, I see. So Mom and Dad already have another child." "Having a sister isn't bad, Mia. There's more love for you now," Mom said. Mia's expression darkened, tears streaming down her face. I thought Mom and Dad would only love me. Why share it with a sister? I quietly realized Mia's hostility towards me wasn't just in my head. I get it, she suffered out there and comes home to find her parents raised another child. I started to explain, "Actually, I'm your—" But Mia suddenly broke into tears. "Should I not have come back? Disrupting your family of 3? Dad panicked. "Mia, what are you saying? We're beyond happy you're back. Which parents would ever let their kids suffer outside?" Mia looked at Dad helplessly. "Really?" "Of course," he replied. Hearing this, she smiled through her tears and hugged Dad tightly, resting her head on him. "Thanks, Dad." My parents both sighed in relief. Then she suggested, "Well, since I'm back, shouldn't my sister go back home?" The room fell silent, only soft breaths filled the quiet. Her hopeful eyes turned to Mom, who instinctively avoided her gaze. Dad pretended to drink his tea, avoiding her eyes as well. Realizing something was wrong, Mia looked panicked. "Dad, did I say something wrong?" I noticed the displeasure flashing in her eyes and was slightly taken aback. Dad cleared his throat. "Having 2 daughters in the family is something to be proud of. Let's keep it that way." Mom chimed in, "Yes, and if you're unsure about something, you can always ask Emma for help." Mia didn't expect her request to be denied so quickly and instinctively looked at me. I gave her a smile. "All right, then." I grabbed my soccer ball and walked out the door. Behind me, I heard Mom's panicked voice. "Emma, Emma." I simply went next door to our neighbor's house. I unlocked the door with my fingerprint and walked right in. This house belongs to my supposed aunt and uncle, but they're actually my biological parents. Yep, I'm adopted by my current parents. So when Mia showed hostility towards me, I understood but didn't feel guilty. Here's the thing. My adoptive parents were devastated after losing their daughter. In their despair, they begged my biological mom to let them adopt me. My biological mom didn't want to. After 3 sons, she finally had a daughter and wasn't keen on giving me away. But my adoptive parents promised to live nearby. And seeing how it seemed like they'd lost everything, my biological mom eventually agreed. I'm Emma, carrying my mom's last name. That was my biological mom's only condition when they adopted me. So everyone thought my adoptive parents were deeply in love, letting their only daughter carry the mother's name. Even Mia thought I was living her luxurious life and getting all her love and attention. But really, I was always meant to be cherished. Honestly, had I stayed with my real parents, I'd probably be a lot happier. My parents are not only wonderful, but I also have an impressive family. A cool and powerful brother, Alex, a director brother, Luke, who's as gentle as Jade, and an expressive director brother, Max, I've got a strong support system. Recalling the dissatisfaction and resentment in Mia's eyes, I clicked my tongue. The upcoming days are likely to be bumpy, with my new sister being quite a handful. Since I was little, my real parents and brothers never overlooked me. Even when my adoptive parents were busy, they took great care of me. They always reminded me that although I was adopted, I was welcome to return anytime. I had a study room and a piano waiting for me there, so being back wasn't an issue. I was chilling on the couch, snacking on thoughtfully prepared fruit, when sudden footsteps rushed from outside. My adoptive mom and dad had barged in hurriedly. Emma, what's up? Seeing my mom sighed in relief and held my face. Emma, sweetie, I know Mia just came back and is sensitive. Don't get upset, I replied. So, I deserve to be unwelcomed? My dad jumped in. What are you talking about? We watched you grow from a little kid to a young lady. You're our real daughter. Who dare treat you poorly? Mom added. Emma, saying that breaks your mom's heart. Fine, but I don't want to go back and hear her bad talk. I'll just stay here for a few days. My mom and dad exclaimed in unison, No way, you're coming back with us. We're not letting you stay here alone. Each grabbed an arm, one around my shoulder, the other around my waist, taking me back next door. Are they worried I'll stay at my biological parents' place and never come back? Looks like Mia hasn't completely taken over their hearts. I looked down. Honestly, leaving so decisively was my way of testing them. I wanted to see if they'd truly replace me once they had their own daughter. Seems like I was overthinking. And so was Mia. As I glanced up at a second-floor window, I noticed a shadow behind the curtain. I chuckled. Mia, this round goes to me. I don't really have anything against Mia. After all, she's mom and dad's daughter. And technically my cousin. I chuckled again. Mia, this round goes to me. I don't really have anything against Mia. After all, she's mom and dad's daughter, and technically my cousin. I may be spoiled, but I'm protective of my family. When I first saw her, I even felt a bit sorry for her. But the moment she tried to kick me out of my own home, I lost all sympathy. If she doesn't want me as her sister, I won't go out of my way to make it work. After coming back, Mia didn't mess with me directly, but she was definitely sneaky. She flaunted her closeness with mom right in front of me and played nice with the staff. She tried hard to show how harmless and sweet she was compared to me. I just watched without making a move. Only those who lack love in their lives regard it as important. Someone like me, who's been loved from the start, doesn't bother with small gestures of affection and doesn't need to ask for it. I know I'm loved, even without trying. So, her little tricks weren't worth my time. Her tactics were just too basic. But even if I didn't care to argue, having someone lurking around all the time was annoying. I called up Alex, keeping it simple. Send money, time for some retail therapy. Alex called back instantly. I could hear the meeting buzz in the background. Emma, are you upset? I pouted. Yeah, Mia's a pain, always getting on my nerves. Alex reassured me. Don't worry, sis. I got your back. Once I'm back from this trip, we'll move your place back home. I assured him. Don't worry, I know how to handle myself. After hanging up, $300K landed in my account, pocket money. I grinned wide and got ready for some shopping. As I headed downstairs, I overheard laughter from the living room. There was Mia, snuggling up to Mom, both smiling. Hearing me, Mia gave me a defiant look. I smirked back, thinking she could make me envious. Passing by, Mom noticed I was heading out and pulled out her phone. Emma, don't hold back while shopping. Let me send you some money. I nodded, seeing Mia's face darken. In her mind, the family money was all hers, not for some outsider. Sometimes it's amusing, like caring for a moody collectible. Suddenly, Mia piped up, Mom, can I go shopping? I've never been to a big city mall. Mom's heart melted instantly. Of course you can. I'll take you. She turned to me, lovingly, Honey, I'm picking up your bag today. How about I join you? I knew she was worried about me feeling left out if she took Mia shopping alone. I hadn't planned on agreeing, but catching Mia's bitter face, I changed my mind. Sure. Getting into the car, Mia quickly grabbed the seat next to Mom. I gave them a cold glance and pulled up a sports car from the garage. As I drove past, seeing Mia's envy turn to disappointment, I couldn't help but smirk. Seriously, did she think I'd play such a silly game with her? Naive. What I'm best at is breaking the rules when I don't like them. Mia, though, kept her composure and soon hid her thoughts again. Sister, you're amazing. I've never seen such a beautiful car before. Putting on my sunglasses, I drawled, "If you like it, take a good look." I waved and hit the gas. In the mall, I met up with them. Mom took my hand gently. "Let's grab your bag first, Emma." "Sure thing." I was eager, clinging to Mom's arm as usual. Mia drifted behind, still stewing over our earlier encounter, not bothering with her usual fake smiles now, just pouting. Suddenly, I heard Mia's frantic voice behind us. "Mom, they won't let me in." And that's when Mom noticed Mia was left at the door by security. "Mia, why did you fall behind?" Mom hurried over to pull Mia inside. She wailed in Mom's arms. "Why did they stop me? Is it because Emma doesn't want me with you?" I stood there, watching her little act. The nerve. "Why should I take the blame for this?" Mom immediately defended me. "Emma, it's just they don't recognize you yet. You need to wait in line." Mia with teary eyes. "Then why doesn't Emma have to line up?" I burst out laughing. "I'm a VIP here, sis, spending a minimum of $300K a year." I saw Mia freeze, jealousy flashing across her eyes. Through tears, she added, "Back home, my yearly expenses were only $2,000. Mom hugged Mia tight, pity in her eyes. "Oh, Mia, you've been through so much." "Don't worry, Mom. Just seeing you again makes me happy." I leaned back thinking, she sure knows how to play sweet and innocent. But I cut her sentiment short, smirking. "Mia, no need to struggle now. You get a lot more pocket money these days." With a straight face, Mia said, "Sister, money's not what's important to me. Being with family makes me happiest." Perfect words for Mom, gleaming at Mia with love. I sighed slightly, noting she's skilled at acting naive and pure. That hits right. Then the sales assistant showed me my bag. Mia stood around, acting like she wanted to touch it, but didn't dare. "This bag, kinda pricey, huh?" I said. "Yup." Mia suddenly looked at me, hesitated, then asked, "Sister, lots of kids like me don't have enough to eat or wear. They're really pitiful." "So?" I asked bluntly. She seemed surprised by my directness and softly pleaded, "So maybe you could donate instead of getting the bag." Before I could speak, the sales assistant stepped in. "This young lady isn't one of our customers, right? This bag is a limited edition. Once you give it up, it's gone. Besides, to Miss Emma, it's just a bag." Mia caught the sales associate's hint and blushed red. I watched her embarrassment coldly without a shred of sympathy. I've read about the lives of kids in remote areas. Their living conditions are harsh and educational resources scarce. If it's a girl, she might be married off early. Back then, my parents were still looking for their biological daughter, and I couldn't sleep well after learning this. I dream of a faceless girl being scolded and bullied. She was skinny, with a boyish haircut, always hunched, with her head down. I thought of my sister, whom I'd never met, fearing she was in a similar situation. So I withdrew all my pocket money and gave it to my brother Alex to help me start a foundation. I hoped to contribute to the growth of girls in poor areas and wished if my sister was among them, even if we couldn't find her, she'd live a better life because of it. But Mia's arrival shattered my fantasy. I could accept her being ordinary, willing to protect her for life, but I couldn't bear a shrewd, calculating person. "Sis, say something," Mia urged me, feigning helplessness. I looked at the sales associate. "Wrap it up." Mia looked at me shocked, as if I'd committed an unforgivable act. I asked her with a smile, "Do you think I'm too selfish?" Mia looked down. "I don't dare to say. I just think you have the ability to help them." I suddenly applauded. "It's admirable how much you care." Mia was startled, staring at me. "What?" I suggested to Mom. "Since Mia cares so much, why not start a foundation in her name?" Mom was tempted, but hesitant. "But Mia only gets $100,000 a month in pocket money." Mia just came back. She's simple and frugal. With that much allowance, I'm afraid she'd be swindled. Since she has the will, let's go with it. I slowly sipped my tea, just considering it gathering good karma for her. I talked Mom into it. Mia seemed dumbfounded that her allowance was decided by just a few words from me and Mom. She opened her mouth, but was afraid to ruin her noble facade, so she tried dragging me down then. "Sis, why don't you start one too?" I had already established a foundation to help girls in poor areas, spending $1 million annually. I said with a grin. If you need any advice, feel free to ask. Mia turned pale. This is how it should be. It's easy to be generous with others' money from a high horse, but she needs to put some skin in the game. Since that day, Mia didn't dare to provoke me. I was happy with my peace, barely paying her any mind. As long as she didn't cause trouble, I tolerated sharing space with her. But clearly, I overestimated her. Max messaged me, saying he had gifts sent to my house, including 2 custom-made bank cards with scenic images from his shooting location. Each card had a balance of $5 million. When I went downstairs to pick up the gifts, I found Mia already in the living room. She was gleefully holding scissors with half the wrapping already torn apart on the floor. I immediately looked cold, truly angry for the first time. Who said you could touch that? Mia bit her lip. What's making you so mad? You opened my gift. Mia's face showed defiance. I heard they were gifts from cousin for us, not just you. I gave a look to the nearby maid, making her look away. True, they were from my brother Max, but there weren't any for you. No way, Mia immediately rejected. With so many gifts, there's no way none are for me. I found her guarded look ridiculous and played the voice message from Max. Emma, I'm coming home soon. Send gifts again as usual. Take what you like. Mia broke down, shaking her head with teary eyes. Why, when I'm his actual cousin? I rolled my eyes. I'm his actual sister. Mia, frustrated, turned to leave, and I blocked her. Stop, give me the cards. She tried being tough. What cards? I looked at her mockingly. The 2 cards with a total of $10 million. If you don't give them back, I'll call the police. When I mentioned the card's balance, her eyes clearly lit up. Since I convinced Mom to use most of Mia's allowance to establish the foundation, she only had $5,000 or $6,000 a month now. According to a familiar sales associate, whenever she visited the mall, she'd only try bags, never buy them, fearing ridicule. She'd only buy a scarf or flip-flops before leaving. Max didn't say the cards weren't mine. There are 2. Maybe 1 is mine. Mia said with a stiff neck. Thinking I had nothing to say, Mia grew more arrogant. Technically, I'm his real cousin. You only get these because of me. I scoffed. My brother's money is always for me. What are you even? Mia was stunned by my words. Her eyes flickered as she suddenly cried. What's wrong? Mom and Dad just came back from outside. Seeing the situation, they hurried over. Mia rushed into their embrace, nearly fainting from all her crying. One might think I did something terrible to her. I chuckled, tore open my gift, then fell apart over it. Mia sniffled, red-eyed. Mom, cousin left me no gifts, only for her. Am I that unlikable? I nodded earnestly. Yep, pretty much. Emma, are you sure Max didn't send gifts for Mia? Mom asked, surprised. After all, in her mind, Max, though rebellious, was quite polished. I shrugged. Maybe it's because he heard about what happened when we got back last time. This made my parents a bit uneasy. My dad frankly stated, It's only fair. Mia? Dad looked at him incredulously. Mom advised, Mia, your cousin has cared for Emma like a sister since they were kids. It's only normal he doesn't favor you after your spat with her. I was nearly in hysterics over their honesty. Mia's face now resembled a smudged mess of freshly dug coal. Mom, Max sent Emma bank cards, and I heard from her they're worth $10 million. Mia hesitantly muttered, Isn't it a bit much for her to accept, especially when she's not his real sister? I chuckled inside. Actually, I am. My parents were jolted by Maya's remark, their usual kindness instantly gone. Mom spoke sternly. What nonsense. Your sister is always a part of this family. My dad was serious. Your 3 cousins have loved Emma since childhood, sending her allowance every month. $10 million is nothing. I watched Mia's face turn like a spilled palette of paint, shock, jealousy, and discontent mixing together, making her once pretty face kinda ugly. Her lips twitched a bit, but she didn't dare to piss off my parents then. I was watching on the side, thinking she was really dumb. No matter what, I had been raised by my parents since I was a kid, and they invested a lot of time and money in me. So, naturally, our bond was deep. Even if she had a blood tie, it couldn't just convince my parents to kick me out. After getting Mia to shut up, I directly looked at the maid, Sarah. Sarah had been working here for many years, but she truly was struggling. She should collect her pay and enjoy life. Calm and collected, Sarah instantly looked up, disbelief in her eyes. "You can't fire me." "Why not?" I tilted my head. "Madam, sir." She looked to my parents for help. Mom coldly said, "Since Emma has let you go, pack up quickly and leave." Dad came over and put an arm around my shoulders. "Emma, don't get upset. People like her aren't worth it." I casually glanced at the other servants, and they all lowered their heads, not daring to meet my eyes. Good. They're smart. With the matter settled, I stayed alone in the living room to sort through gifts. What's mine is mine. Even if I don't want it, no one else can touch it. After finishing counting, I carried the gifts back to my room, happening to overhear the servants talking about Mia. Indeed, she comes from a small family, can't hold her own. Yeah, she wants to compete with Miss Emma, but she can't even match a single strand of her hair. I knew them. Mia seemed to be quite close with them usually. Suddenly, Mia rushed out from a corner, grabbing the two's hair. "You traitors! Haven't I treated you well, and you dare talk bad about me?" The three quickly tangled up. I watched with interest, pulling out my phone to record the drama. When the chaos ended, Mia single-handedly left the other two bloodied. She saw me holding my phone toward her and instantly panicked. "You planned this to frame me." I shook my finger. "Wrong. Really, you outsmarted yourself. Did you think being nice to the servants would make them work for you?" "Of course not. Everyone here knows how to cozy up to the powerful, being shrewd and slick. Being always gentle doesn't just lose the host's dignity, but also becomes a laughingstock." I kindly advised, "Mia, don't forget who you are. Your priority now is to improve yourself. What's the point in pleasing the servants? The real challenge is to hold on to the resources here and learn the skills you should have learned growing up. Mind your own business." For some reason, there's a thick sense of humiliation on Mia's face. "Just because you're rich, why look down on people?" I was quite surprised, really looking at Mia for the first time. "You should see a brain doctor. Every heir needs to be well-rounded. It's not just about personal development. It's about the future of the family business. So I've been pampered, but I still learned everything I needed to." Since Mia's back, she can't stay in a small-minded mindset, focusing only on what's in front of her. She'll be responsible for the company someday. Her decisions could even affect employees' families, and she's far from ready. A good business person needs to make plans with vision and strategy. Learning is the only way to stay rational and calm, and it's the path to improving knowledge and skills. "I felt disappointed," I said. "I thought at least you had ambition." "Ambition isn't bad for us," Mia looked at me coldly. I said, "But besides that, you're mean and stupid." Mia shook with anger, biting her lip. I added, "Sis, I'm not planning to hand it over to you. You drive the company to the ground." "What do you mean?" She was panicked and incredulous. "I'm the biological daughter." I shrugged. "So what? I've always said there's a new set of rules here. Always backing down gets sympathy, not respect." In the evening, I announced, "Joining the company." My dad beamed. "I've been saying it so many times you finally agreed." Mom looked a bit sad. "With you gone, Mom will be lonely." "Mia's still here to keep you company, isn't she?" I purposely pointed to the only quiet person at the table. Mia was zoned out. Mom worriedly tried to touch her forehead. "Not feeling well?" She instinctively backed away, flashes of disgust in her eyes. Mom noticed and her hand froze. Mia snapped back, looking pitifully at Mom. "Mom, it wasn't on purpose." "It's okay if you're not well, just rest." Mia got up and left. Mom seemed dazed. I always feel Mia looks at me like I'm not her mother. I asked, "What kind of look? Fear? Fawning? But also a bit of disdain?" I frowned. Sounds contradictory. Dad, not interacting much with Mia, casually said, "Maybe she's not used to it yet, eh?" "Is that so?" I mentally noted it. I quickly established myself at the company. Dad was happy to take it easy, gradually reducing his visits. Mia didn't stir up trouble, staying at home being well-behaved. Sometimes when we ran into each other, she would greet me warmly. But deep down, knowing Mia, I knew she wouldn't just straighten out because of my words. She really seemed to accept it, not thinking to outdo me, but enjoying the luxury life, shopping, playing, making friends. I couldn't figure out her scheme, but tapping my fingers on the desk, I do love a challenge. Mia's change actually suggested she was a bit smart. I was intrigued by her. Let's see what she's planning to do against me. I guess she'd first act submissively to lower my guard, then work with her new social circle to take me down. I quietly made plans to counter, but found Mia unusually quiet. She barely went out anymore, and just stayed home. Just when I started to relax, one of the housemates urgently came to find me. What happened? I saw her hesitating, unable to speak clearly for a while. A bad feeling crept over me. Miss Emma, I've been seeing Miss Mia coming out of Dad's room late at night. The maid closed her eyes and spilled the words quickly. I almost thought I misheard, and my face turned icy. I warned her. You know what you're implying, right? You could be jailed for false accusations. The maid was certain. At first, I thought I was mistaken, but then I paid attention and saw it often. I was stunned, trying hard not to overthink. But the maid frowned. Miss Mia often goes there past midnight, 2 or 3 a.m., and she's dressed very lightly. My pen dropped, and with trembling hands, I called my mom. Where are you? I went on a trip to the Maldives. I heard Mom's cheerful voice. Chills went down my spine for a moment. When did you go? How come I didn't know? There's been a major project at work recently, and I've been working late into the night. I ended up just staying at an apartment next to the office and didn't come home. I saw you were busy, so I didn't want to bother you. Mom said Mia asked a friend who works in travel to set it up for me, and I had a great time. Don't worry about me. Coldness spread through my veins as I grabbed my coat and rushed out. My assistant, Sarah, jogged over to me, looking concerned. Emma, is there anything you need me to do? I looked at my newly hired assistant. She's calm, collected, and very capable. I trust her completely. So I said, I have something urgent to handle at home. Take care of any work you can manage. Sarah blinked and then decisively said, Okay. Satisfied, I turned away and drove home as fast as I safely could. I arrived just as Dad was about to head out with Mia. He looked surprised to see me. At this time, shouldn't you be at the office? Did you forget an important file? No. My suspicious gaze wandered between him and Mia. What are you guys up to? He patted the backpack behind him. Mia and I planned a camping trip. Just the two of you? Alone together in the isolated wilderness. My heart sank and I couldn't help but feel a bit nauseous. Emma, are you feeling unwell? Concern shone in his eyes as I studied him, finding nothing suspicious. I didn't have solid evidence. I couldn't jump to conclusions. I calmed myself and fibbed. I caught a cold recently, so I left work early today to rest. Sick? Dad frowned. Have you been overworking yourself again? Possibly. I took advantage of the moment. Dad, could you stay home with me? I'm craving your meatball soup. Dad, who usually catered to my every whim, hesitated for once. Maybe after Mia and I get back? Trouble. Seems Dad's quite invested in Mia. I pretended to be demanding, no, stay here at home. I glanced at Mia, who was standing off to the side with a gentle smile, acting displeased. If I don't come back more often, you might just forget about me. How could I ever forget Emma? All right, I'll stay. Dad gave in but looked a bit reluctant. I shot a cold stare at Mia, clenching my teeth. What's her game here? Maybe my return made Mia more cautious since I never saw her sneaking into Dad's room at night again. I had no choice but to bide my time patiently, waiting for Mia to slip up. To keep things covert, I installed a pinhole camera in the second-floor hallway. A week passed with no progress. However, I noticed Dad inviting Mia into his study daily, and I didn't know what they were up to. I carefully observed Dad's demeanor toward Mia and saw nothing inappropriate. Mia behaved quite properly, mostly just holding Dad's hand or leaning on his shoulder. It's all very normal for a father and daughter. My suspicions slowly diminished, trying to convince myself they might have pure intentions. Another voice taunted, "What kind of daughter sneaks into her father's room in skimpy outfits at night?" I found myself at a crossroads. There was important work at the company, sometimes requiring my signatures in the middle of the night. Our villa was a bit far from the office, which was inconvenient for my subordinates to reach me. And with leaving work early lately to deal with family matters, I'd let work pile up. I decided to stay just a bit longer before returning to the apartment. During dinner, Sarah messaged me wanting my signature on a document. I had the driver bring her over. While signing, I heard a noise upstairs. Mia stood on the second floor balcony, her expression caught between panic and fear. An uncharacteristic facial expression, like she'd seen something she couldn't handle. I discreetly followed her gaze and saw she was looking at Sarah. In that instant, I made a decision, smiling brightly at Mia. "What's up, Mia?" Instinctively, she glanced down and crouched. "I broke a cup." "It's okay, don't mind me, I'll clean it up." Nothing was adding up as I noted her trying hard to hide. I knew Sarah's background. She came from a poor family and was orphaned. She was one of the girls my foundation sponsored. I'd taken an interest in her because she was among the few sponsored students who got into college with outstanding grades. Sarah's a diligent, clever candidate, making her a perfect fit as my assistant, especially as I was just starting to build a team. I was just curious why Mia, with her boastful and flashy personality, would fear Sarah, seemingly avoiding or even hiding from her. Was there something more to this than met the eye? After signing, I patted Sarah's shoulder. "You've done well. Head back now." Watching her drive off, I immediately had someone dig into the connection between her and Mia. I hit the jackpot. Mia's mother was Sarah's middle school teacher, but strangely, her mother, not old enough to retire, had oddly done so. I lingered over my thoughts and suddenly froze on a photo of Mia from middle school. Today's Mia resembled the one in the picture only slightly around the eyes. On closer inspection, they looked nothing alike. A string in my mind suddenly tightened. Oddly enough, it hit me. Sarah's features seemed eerily similar to Mia's. Sarah usually wore thick glasses and held herself sternly, while Mia was full of life and smiles. So I missed it all this time. Until today. Staring at their photos, a bizarre theory started forming. The next morning, before leaving, I hugged Dad and discreetly snagged a hair from his head, giving a glance to the housekeeper standing nearby. She had just come out from cleaning Mia's room and slipped me a hair while handing over my car keys. Out the door, I immediately called my brother Luke to book a DNA paternity test at his hospital, saying I'd drop by soon. Even expedited, results take 2 to 3 days. Replaying recent events in my mind, dread crept over me. If Mia and Dad had no biological connection, her late-night intrusions into his room were something else entirely. If true, without a doubt, she'd been attempting to seduce him, no two ways about it. Perhaps thinking she couldn't win against me taking over the business, she sought to secure Dad first before we noticed. Switching lanes, she'd then compete against Mom. Using a child to fight for inheritance is way better than using a fake identity. Everything connects, and the answer is crystal clear. Mia knows me just like I know her. If I'm right, she knows I'm suspicious and will act tonight. I immediately told the driver to speed home, jumped out of the car, and ran inside the study, tea room, bedroom. No sign of Dad. I stopped an aunt passing by. "Where's Dad and Mia?" "They went out," she replied. A panic set in. "When did they leave?" "Half an hour ago." I rushed downstairs, calling Max, a cop, to help track down Dad's car. In a hurry, I picked the fastest car in the garage. Under Max's guidance, I took the shortcut to intercept them, but it was too late. When I got to the hotel, their car was already parked outside. I quickly found the room number, wrench in hand, about to bust in. The door swung open. Dad stormed out, face dark with anger. "Told you before, that daddy complex is a sickness. You need a hospital." Seeing me, he stopped in surprise. "Emma? What are you doing here?" Mia ran out in tears, hugging him. "Dad, I love you." I stared at Dad, watching his face turn all kinds of awkward shades. My parents arrived and pulled Mia off him. Dad let out a sigh of relief and shouted to the bodyguards, "Take her to the hospital and check if it's her brain or her psychology that's sick." Mia struggled, but was dragged away crying in the hallway. My eyebrow twitched. I had to stop this before someone thought it was human trafficking and called the cops. I told the guards to gag her and forcibly take her away. In the car, Dad eyed me nervously. "Emma, when did you find out?" "One of our maids saw Mia sneaking into your room." His face darkened. "Even she knew." I interrupted him. "Focus on what's going on with you and Mia. There's nothing. We're just father and daughter." He said anxiously, "I've been telling her that ever since Mom left, but she wouldn't listen." I thought maybe a change of scenery, like a camping trip, would help her. Dad, yeah, but she wouldn't listen. I realized that's why you often took her to the study, just to talk. Dad, yeah, but she wouldn't listen. I thought maybe a change of scenery, like a camping trip, would help her. I was speechless. My middle aged dad loves the outdoors, hoping nature would broaden her mind. Seriously? He covered his face. Yeah, I thought she listened, but today she tricked me into this hotel instead of camping, stripping right at the door. This confirmed my suspicion. Mia wasn't my parents' real daughter. I told Dad my theory, and anger filled his face. Then, what was all the clinging recently about? I gave him a sympathetic look. Bad luck for you. He bristled. I want to press charges for harassment. I reminded him, that would reveal Mia's fake daughter truth to Mom. He sighed. Right, Emma, don't tell your mom about this. Of course, I wouldn't tell about such a disgusting thing. Let Mom worry over it. 2 days later, the paternity test proved Mia wasn't my parents' daughter, but the test showed my assistant Sarah was. I found Sarah working calmly, not remotely surprised. Curious, I asked, why so chill? Sarah smiled. I'm happy with my life now, so no big feelings about the news. I thought for a moment. Let's give you a promotion and raise then. Sarah became the company's GM, shaking up the company. The next day, the company issued a statement revealing her identity. Those out of the loop thought she started from the bottom to learn the company. Sarah came to me, confused. You clarified my identity, but you... I closed the document, extending my hand. Hello there, cousin. Sarah was stunned. A week later, my aunt, uncle, and 3 brothers returned from abroad. Families gathered in the living room, lively and happy. Aunt suddenly said, now Sarah's back, Emma should move her registration back to our place. The room fell silent. Mom decisively replied, no, after all these years, let's leave it as is. Aunt and uncle exchanged a tearful glance. 3 brothers piled in as well. Sarah watched with a gentle smile. I raised an eyebrow. What's got you happy? She gave me a look. Happy for you. Since I started work, I've been nervous about causing you trouble. Puzzled, I asked, how would you cause trouble? I don't get these rich family affairs, but no one wants to share an inheritance with someone else, right? I looked at her in surprise. That's pretty insightful. Sarah wasn't exactly the understanding type yet. She'd stand firm with clients during business deals. She simply said, only kind to you. Without your help, I wouldn't be here today. I hugged my knees, laughing. A flash of the little pixie-haired girl flickered in my mind, marveling at the world's wonders. I pressed charges against Mia for using a fake identity, demanding repayment of every cent spent as my dad's daughter. The day Sarah and I went to change our residency registration was the same day as the court hearing. After hearing the judge read out the verdict, Sarah and I genuinely laughed. As we stepped out, we ran into Mia, who was being insulted by a middle-aged couple with graying hair. She glared at us with resentment and in a hoarse voice asked, are you both satisfied now? I shook my head with a laugh. I'll be satisfied when you pay back the money. 7 million is a number most people will never see in their lifetime. And for Mia, that number will be a burden for life. Are you Sarah? The middle-aged woman next to Mia looked at Sarah in surprise. Sarah remained calm. Teacher, long time no see. Curious, I looked at this middle school teacher and recalled the whole story of how Mia stole Sarah's identity. Back in middle school, this teacher favored Sarah, almost like a second mother. Their relationship was really close. Later on, the teacher saw a missing person announcement on TV. She knew some things about Sarah and started piecing her identity together. Instead of confrontation, she got even closer to Sarah, then had her daughter undergo plastic surgery to resemble her. They moved in step by step to take over Sarah's life. I suddenly remembered asking my mom why she was so sure Mia was her daughter when she first showed up. She said she saw a red birthmark on Mia's shoulder. I'm guessing Sarah has the same red birthmark. Let's go. Sarah's voice pulled me back to reality. After we walked a bit, I turned to her. Still upset? She smiled, her eyes glistening. I used to genuinely see the teacher as my mom. I put my arm around her. Don't think about it. Your real mom is home waiting for you to come back for dinner. She nodded firmly. Yeah. The next year, Sarah resigned. HR handed me her resignation letter. I should be the one leaving? She smiled sweetly. You're the born leader. Mom and Dad trust the company more in your hands than mine. What about you? She said. I want to dedicate myself to charity, helping girls from more impoverished families. I always wanted to be like you, just like you inspired me when I was younger. I shrugged. Don't make me sound so great. I just did what little I could. But to someone like me, you did more than enough. I fell silent and waved my hand. Go ahead, do what you want to do. Sarah is really outstanding. She's visionary, quick thinking, proactive, and has a relentless drive. I knew better than anyone she'd succeed. And it turns out my judgment was spot on. Sarah became a big name. Our aunt went to 5 parties in one day, smiling so much her face stiffened. The online world praised her, and as a result, my company's stock also went up significantly. I was so happy. I called her up. Your success benefits the whole family. Sarah's voice was lazy over the phone. Does the company really rely on me? I chuckled. Who would think too much of a good thing? When are you coming back? Why? I feigned a frown. Since you left, Mom and Aunt have been setting me up on dates nonstop. 3 blind dates in a month. Sarah laughed without reservation. Just wait, I'll come save you. Sounds good. I've often been grateful that my cousin turned out as I hoped. When I was a kid, pretty well off. Even beyond my expectations, she's a resilient and smart woman. There may have been bumps in her journey, but pretty good is better than perfect. Mom called from the window. Sarah just phoned saying she's coming home tonight. Aunt asked, we're all invited to come over for a get-together. I smiled and agreed.